Mm. Good morning, Patriot brothers and sisters. This is Mike Cook, the Patriot, coming to you live from Central Missouri on this brisk Saturday morning. It's a beautiful day out. It's approximately 8:35 a.m. on 11/28/2020, the year the conspiracy theory became reality. Hope you're having a great day. Just want to give you an update on what's going on. I've been kind of doing these daily. I used to do them every few days, but stuff's happening and changing so fast. And I think I got some interesting stuff I want to share with y'all. Things are starting to tighten up. Things are starting to happen. We get all these court cases. I know some guy was bashing me on one of my videos that, the court in Pennsylvania said that he didn't win. See, I told you, you're a bunch of losers. First of all, friend, if you want to debate me, I'm telling anybody out there that doesn't agree with me, wants to debate me, the first thing I'm going to do is look at your profile. If you don't create your own content, I'm not interested in talking to you. If you're just a share beast and you just share. Now, look, that's cool. That's awesome. I mean, get your word out there, whatever your word is. Share the people you like. This is what social media is all about. But don't come at me because I create my own content. I do my own research. And you don't want any part of that, I'm telling you right now. You don't. Because, see, I create my own thoughts. And I can argue my own thoughts better than you can argue what you shared. So you don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do today is somewhat of a rebuttal. I'm going to get into some of the reason why Trump is winning. Because we're a nation of laws, not of men. And there's this little thing called a Constitution. And they explain how to do all this. This is not a surprise to our founding fathers. Those geniuses knew what was going on. So anyways, I got a couple little video clips that I want to play that I found that I think, and I'm going to sum it all up, talking about the fraud and the steal and that kind of stuff. A couple of them are kind of funny. They're pretty good stuff here. This right here, I'm just going to play this soundbite real quick. This is the hearing, and a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is Pennsylvania, by the way. This is the hearing in Pennsylvania they had the other day before the legislature. Understand, the courts, they haven't presented a case, and I got a couple ideas behind that in the courts. Let me digress here just a little bit. So they're going before these lower courts, and they're getting dismissed out of hand. Who is trying to call me? Getting dismissed out of hand. That's my daughter. Let me tell you, I'm live. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, folks. This is what happens on live videos. So they're getting dismissed out of hand. Court after court case, court after court case. There's one or two or a combination of two reasons for this. They're not being allowed to even in some of these courts submit an argument. And after reading some of the stuff that they submitted, I don't think that they're attempting to submit an argument. They don't want to tip their hand on all of the heaps and mountains of evidence that they have in these lower courts. You see, they're just trying to work their way up the ladder to the ultimate court that's going to ultimately make the decision. There's also another thing in play here, and that's these lower court judges don't want to be the one. They don't want to be the guy that overturns the election. That's not me. I'm not big enough to do that, is what they're saying. So there's a whole lot going on here. But anyways, let's go back to this. It's about a minute and 10 seconds long. I think you'll enjoy this. Listen closely. They're in the hearing. They're in the Senate or the House in the legislature of Pennsylvania, and they're hearing the fraud that's going on. So here you go. And here we don't go.
Normally you would expect to see a smooth curve going up, not any big spikes. That's kind of what Greg was talking about, the anomalies of loading and uploading those votes. So that big spike that occurs there is a prime indicator of fraudulent voting.
And that's 604,000 votes in 90 minutes. Is that right?
Correct. This is 337 votes, 337,000 votes in that
period of time.
Yes.
And when you look at this entire curve, with all these spikes, can you calculate how much of a vote that accounted for Biden and how much for Trump?
Close to 600,000. I think our figures were about
600,000.
570 some odd thousand.
Oh, and it freezes up. Okay, bear with me. I'm having
But,
internet
all
trouble.
those
I hope you
spikes
all can see
represented
me.
over time.
For Biden.
Correct.
And how much for Trump?
I think it was a little over 3,200.
3,200. And everybody laughs. So anyways, well, it's not streaming very well. I hope you guys can see me. I hope I'm not fuddling, but my computer's having issues. But if you got that, there's 600,000 votes and 590 something thousand of them are for Biden and 3,000 or 3,900 are for Trump. And the audience laughs because of the absurdity of that number. That's just utterly ridiculous that could happen in a 90-minute time frame, that all these ballots would come in, of course, after they've kicked everybody out of the room that wanted to look at the ballots. It's just flat absurd. Now these are a little bit longer, but this is from it's called Rudy Giuliani's Common Sense, and he puts these little half-hour little blogs out, and he really gets into the meat. That's what I'm wanting to do today, is get into the meat of the things. So this is straight from Donald Trump's attorney. No evidence, no evidence. Now just listen to what he has to say here. I got a couple of clips, they're 2 or 3 minutes long, and we'll listen to them.
And that is what we call overvote. This is probably the most telling of all. Now, focus on one city where I have a complete and thorough report. I have much sketchier reports for other cities. By next week, I'll have them all. In the city of Detroit, about 2/3 of the precincts in the city, their vote doesn't compute, which is why the 2 Republicans didn't vote to certify. And technically and correctly, it hasn't been certified. I think it was like 79%. The vote doesn't compute. And what that mostly means is more people voted than people who are registered in the district. So let's say there are 5,000 people registered in a district.
Okay.
How could 8,000 people vote in that district? And wouldn't
Seems
those
sketchy to me.
3,000 additional votes be illegal? Of course they are.
Makes sense
And
to me.
why does it happen? Now, let me tell you what the numbers are. They're actually worse than that. The numbers range from about 125% to 350%. What that means simply is that 3.5 times more voters voted than are registered in the district. The reason that happens is all through the pre-voting process, they were constantly assigning phony votes, false votes, like those 100,000 ballots that came in for Biden. You think they were real?
You think they were real? I'm having troubles today with stuff freezing up, so bear with me. So there you have that one. And now I just want to kind of jump ahead a little bit in the video so we don't have to watch the whole thing. It's a half an hour long. We're not going to do that. And this is where he gets to talking about the electronic cheating that they did. So just listen to this right here.
To the whole situation of Dominion and how the votes were counted in 27 different states by a machine built by a company that began and continues to be a company that specializes in voter fraud.
How convenient.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. A company that specializes in voter fraud. We will discuss that probably in the next episode or the one after in great detail. But I'll give you a little bit of a foretaste of it. The company that counted the ballots in Michigan and most of those states is a company called Dominion. It's a Canadian company. Why are we using a Canadian company to count American votes? Why are we sending American votes out of the United States? But they don't go to Canada.
Hello.
They go to Germany. Now, why do they go to Germany? Because Dominion doesn't count the votes. A company called Smartmatic counts the votes. The company was founded in the early 2000s by two Venezuelans extremely
Venezuela?
close to Chavez, the dictator of Venezuela. They continue to own the company to this day. They were founded for the specific purpose of fixing elections in Venezuela. They fixed elections in Venezuela. They fixed elections in Argentina. What I am saying to you, go Google it. The press is too lazy or too warped or too crooked. Go Google it.
Crooked. They're in
It's
on it.
there. There's a letter from Democrat Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney in 2008 telling you what I just told you. The company is founded by communists who wanted to make sure Chavez and then Maduro were elected regardless of the will of the people. It's a company that was been kicked out of the United States, even kicked out of Chicago. And how did it get back in? It got back in as a subcontractor to Dominion.
There you have it.
And Dominion never disclosed, I imagine, Smartmatic. Or if they did, these governors,
Who've been getting
like
paid
the
off.
governor of Michigan, hired them to count American votes. We have a Venezuelan company with Venezuelan voter fraud technology counting our vote.
There you have it.
And as we are studying the irregularities in the vote, it's becoming quite clear. Let me try it again. Been talking too much today. It's becoming quite clear that they interfered with the vote, but that's a matter for another day.
So anyways, there's Rudy Giuliani, and he's breaking it down for you. And I don't think they're even presenting any of this in court yet, because they're just, they don't care what the court rules at the lower level. Because if the court was to completely rule that this is entire fraud, say the whatever district that Pennsylvania's in, if that court was to rule as an entire fraud, the Biden campaign would immediately appeal it to the Supreme Court. So they don't care. They want to get it to the Supreme Court. When they get it to the Supreme Court, then they're going to take all these other lawsuits, the Lynn Wood lawsuit, the Sidney Powell lawsuit, the lawsuits out in Arizona, the lawsuits out in New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, all these little lawsuits, and they're going to ask the Supreme Court to grab them all because they're all relevant and put them in one big pile and make a decision upon that. That's the strategy there. Now, here's the other problem. On the other hand, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Unless you're the cat, then that's not so good. But there's a story going around, and this just happened yesterday, started spreading around on the interwebs. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but CNN, Communist News Network, CNN owned by AT&T, and they're trying to sell CNN because it's losing its ass. Straightforward from here, GOP controls state legislators in key swing states. Legislators convinced of fraud send own or no electors, meaning they send their electors. Biden deprived of 270. State delegations in the House of Representatives, United States House of Representatives, vote and reelect Trump 26 to 23. Now, wait a second. Hold up. Wait a minute. There's more than that in the, how does that work? Well, we'll cover that in just a second. Okay. But I want you to see, this is actually an article that ran prior to the election. And so this is CNN's own words, and it's making its rounds again on social media. And me and all of the never Trumpers and all of the people who are like, Biden wins, just get over it. Heads are going, wait a second, this is our side. This is CNN saying this. CNN already declared President-elect Biden the president-elect. Yes, but again, we're not a nation of CNN or Fox News. We are a nation of laws, and we have a constitution. And we're going to get to that in just a second. But anyways, this is what CNN had to say. Now, mind you, the tweet that I just showed you that shared this, we put the narratives on it. See, we put the spin on it that he put on it was pretty close to the truth. Now, CNN puts their narrative. Remember, narrative is a lie. says Trump leads evaporate with mail-in ballots counted, meaning that when the election happens, because according this came out before the election, that Trump's lead will evaporate with the mail-in ballots because they knew the cheat was on. Legislators decide to choose the electors themselves. That means the legislators in the disputed states decide to choose the electors themselves. Competing slates of electors are sent to Congress, or none at all, like the other guy said. Congress discards electoral votes, which is in the Constitution of the disputed states, meaning that no one gets enough to get 270 electoral votes, meaning you have to hit 270 by the Constitution. You have to. If you don't get there, there's another remedy. Now, let me break this down for you. Let me get you to understand what I'm saying here. One of the means of remedy a problem in constitutionally, a problem of the election where you can't get to 270, which I think is 2/3 of the vote, is what you got to get to, is it goes to Congress. Okay, Congress votes on that. Okay, and the way that they vote is, see, our founding fathers were genius. They knew we could potentially have a runaway Congress. They knew that we could have runaway states that are not taking the will of people. They knew that potentially someone could cheat. Now, they didn't know they could cheat with Dominion software, but they knew the deviance of man, and they knew the lure of power. So they put checks and balances to the checks and all different kinds of systems to make sure we get the right outcome. So they said, if there's a deadlock, if you can't get to 270 for whatever reason, doesn't matter the reason, but you can't get to 270, the House shall vote for the president and the Senate shall vote for the vice president. Okay? It's in the Constitution. Just break it open and read it. Google it. So you're thinking, well, yeah, but Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House. Doesn't matter. Here's why. Each of the 50 states shall have one vote per delegation. Missouri has 13 or 14 congressmen, women, but they get one vote. California has 43 or something like that, but they get one vote. One vote. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Here's how CNN put it. That if you vote understand the delegation sent to Congress, it's 23-26. Trump wins. See how that works? The problem is the delegations are a whole lot tighter than they were. It possibly could be about 30 Trump wins. Yeah, because they didn't have a landslide like they were expecting. And I want to show you one more thing, okay? Mind you, this was prior to the election. They were very concerned about these key swing states. Stop sending me messages. They were very concerned about these key swing states. You notice something about those key swing states? Why didn't they call Florida? Why did it take them so long to call Florida? Because they're trying to steal that one too. Trump overwhelmed them in that one. They couldn't pull it off. Before the election, the fix was already in. They already knew which states they were playing in. They already knew which states that they had set the fix up in. This is making around. It's causing a lot of panic on the other side. And there's more panic yet to come. Now, let me just show you. This right here is a relative part. This is Article 2, Section 1, Paragraph 2. Each state shall appoint in such a manner as the legislator thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress. But no senator or representative or person holding office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed elector. Now, the second part of that just says you can't be an elector if you're a representative or in office of some sort. The first part is very important. Each state shall appoint in the manner as the legislator thereof may direct. Why is that important? That is the Constitution of the United States of America. That is not an amendment. That has not been changed. That is the law since 1776, or shortly thereafter, 78, or whenever it was they ratified the thing. It wasn't right in 1776, but you get my point. The legislator of each of the several states is the final say-so, not the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. They have no say-so. Not the governors, not the Secretary of States. They have no say-so. Not the United States Supreme Court. They have no say-so. The United States Supreme Court cannot overrule the legislator in the several states on this issue because the Constitution is very clear. The president can't overrule it. The Congress can't overrule it. The Senate can't overrule it. And any unelected bureaucrat somewhere in some alphabet agency cannot overrule it. The Constitution says that the electors are set. Let's look at that one more time. It says, in such manner as the legislator therefore may direct. The electors of each of the several states is selected by the legislator, however they choose to do it. If they choose to do it through a general election, that's the way they do it. But do you know that most of the states, for the first 50 years, 60 years or so of this country, didn't have elections for president? The legislators just set them. Whatever the legislative body said, whether it was Democrats or Whigs, at that time, that's what it was. There was no Republicans. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? The popular vote is ultimately irrelevant because we are not a democracy. We are a constitutional representative republic. That's what we are, a nation of laws, not of men. When this gets before the Supreme Court, that's the argument, one of them, that they're going to be making, other than it was a flat-out total sham. Now, why is it that they, I forgot to put that screenshot in there, I apologize. There was an article in the Gateway Pundit that was talking about how, after the hearing that I played for you with Rudy Giuliani, when everybody laughed, this happened yesterday. The Pennsylvania legislator, who is the ultimate authority, voted to decertify the Pennsylvania election. And here's how it went. Hopefully I put the right one in here. I skipped all the whereases. There's like 16 pages of whereases where they named all the things that had went wrong and why they're doing this. But here's what it says. Therefore, be it resolved that the Pennsylvania House of Representatives recognizes substantial irregularities, improbabilities associated with the mail-in balloting, pre-canvassing, and canvassing during the November 3rd, 2020 election, and disapproves of the infringement on the General Assembly's authority. That's what I just talked about. The legislator's authority pursuant to the United States Constitution to regulate elections. And I got to pull this up. Anybody that follows me know I got to jump back and forth here because of the software I use, but it's cool. We'll get it. We get it. Disapproves and disagrees with the Secretary of the Commonwealth's premature certification of results of November 3rd, 2020 election regarding the president and electors. And now I'm going to go on, but I want to add something. In the whereas, the findings of this decision, oops, wrong button. In the whereas, I'm trying to talk and do something at the same time, and I'm just messing it all up. Well, come on, man. There we go. In the whereas, as I was scrolling through there, they found that in 2016, the secretary certified the elections on December 12th. And they asked, why are we rushing to certify this election so early when so many counties are in dispute? They found that these counties are in dispute. Okay. Yeah, now I got that all messed up. Let's keep going. It says, declares that the selection of the presidential electors and other statewide electoral contest results in the Commonwealth is in dispute. That's what I just said. Under urges the Secretary of the Commonwealth and the governor, who are both Democrats, to withdraw or vacate the certification of the presidential electors and to delay certification of the results in other statewide electoral contests voted on in the 2020 general election. And they love that word "and." These attorneys. Urges the United States Congress to declare the selection of presidential electors in the Commonwealth to be in dispute. That is the ultimate authority in the state of Pennsylvania in terms of presidential election, according to Article 2, Section 1, Paragraph 2, right here, where it says, "in such manner as the legislator thereof may direct." That is the ultimate job of the elected officials in the legislature of the several states. You don't have to like it, but that's our Constitution. If you don't like our Constitution, move to Venezuela. They got a great system of government, and they're trying to, put it here too. I find this very compelling. You see, these same things are happening. Arizona's having hearings next week. New Mexico's legislators are having hearings next week. Michigan's legislator is having hearings next week. Georgia isn't, because they're all screwed up. Stacey Abrams thinks she runs that state, and she's not even an elected official. So we got a 2-pronged, 3-pronged, 8-pronged attack, a Kraken for that matter, attack against the forces of darkness that are trying to steal this election from us. And it's coming from all different angles. And we have a couple things going for us. We have a great man and a president and leader who has vision beyond that of ordinary men. If there's a superhero on this planet, it's him. We have Rudy Giuliani, who, like, everybody's, "Oh, he's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing." He's America's mayor. He's a hero of 9/11. And what did he do? He took down organized crime bosses. And let me tell you something. Some of the shadiest, nasty people on the planet, he took them down. He knows about organized crime. And this election fraud stuff, well, it's organized crime. You got Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood. They're both awesome attorneys. And several hundred other volunteer awesome attorneys that are all over the country. Let me tell you something, friends. Now's not the time to panic. Now's the time to applaud. And also, it's been going around. Now's the time to pray. If you're a believer, I don't care what your denomination is. I don't care if you're a believer, if you believe in God, it's time to hit your knees and pray. It's time to turn our faces towards God and cry out. These people will stop at anything to retain their power, or will not stop at anything to retain their power, or get their ultimate power, their ultimate goal. So if you feel it, the gumption coming on you, I don't care if you're one of them churches, the holy rollers, filled with the Holy Spirit, jumping over pews, or if you're Catholic flipping the rosary. I don't care what it is. But just ask our Heavenly Father to give mercy and grace to our country, to give mercy and grace to our president and to his team, because they're coming after them people every which way they can. Once these it's starting to happen. It's starting to unravel, starting to fall apart. And as it falls apart, it's going to fall apart faster and faster and faster. And once they realize that it's over, look, if they can't take this country by hook or by crook, they'll take this country by force. That's the next step in this plan. December 1st is what their website says. Go to it. Check it out. ProtectTheResults.com. It's one of their websites. It's the one I follow. So far, it hasn't been updated. But as they start realizing that this is falling apart and that Trump actually has constitutional avenues to defeat the fraud that they've put forth, they'll abandon that plan and go straight to all-out revolt. Remember the summer we had. That was a testing ground. they were very well organized. Who put the bricks in the pathway of the protesters? Think about that. Remember them surrounding the White House, saying they were going to storm the White House and drag the president out. Just be prepared and hit your knees. If you just believe, if you go to church, whatever church that is, hit your knees and pray today, because they need our prayers. They need our support. And hang with them, because this whole media nonsense is about turning you against the president. They needed you to be disillusioned and lose hope. They needed you to quit on the president so that he had no support. But I don't think that's happening. So with that, I'm going to jump off here. I appreciate everybody being on. Please share this video. I do these in the intention of giving hope. And I guess that's a passion of mine. I eat this stuff up for some reason. I'm a nut job or something. And some people have recently called me that. So, hey, good for them. You guys have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Whatever it is you do for a hobby or fun, go do it. But just remember that while you're doing it, ask the Father to watch over our leaders and the folks supporting him. I thank everybody for jumping on. You guys have a great day.